Hello and welcome to the SDS-x Overview video. My name is Corey, and in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what SDS-x can do. SDS-x is a drum machine app for iOS and iPadOS that makes it fun to program beats. This app has a lot of features, but our main goal was to make drum programming fun, easy, and accessible for everyone. Whether this is your first iOS music app or you are an avid AUV3 enthusiast, SDS-x has something for you. You can play sounds directly by tapping on the pads or program a sequence using the 16-step sequencer. For this overview, we will break the app down into three main sections: the top bar, pad panel, and menu panel. If you need more information on specific functions like the sequencer, kit editing, MIDI connectivity, and more, there's a playlist linked in the description of this video. For now, let's dive into an overview of SDS-x. So on the top bar here we have SDS-x and then a little unlock icon that allows you to access the pad edit menu here, but we'll go more in depth on that later on in this video. Lock those back up. This little circle is a level indicator. Green is good. Red is bad. If you hit red, it means you clipped and you are outputting too much. This share icon here is a global share button, and you can export your pattern audio or share a current kit with yourself on another device or even with a friend. Those kits are stored up here, and you can cycle through those different kits by tapping on these arrows or tap on the name, and you can see some more information here. You have banks where those individual kits are stored, and then here you can save or share kits as well. Continuing on this top panel, we have a play button, and if you have a sequence going on here indicated on the sequencer and press play, you will start to hear that sequence being played. If you press the circle button, now you're recording, so anything you play on these pads will go directly into that sequence. So if I hit this tom, it'll record into pattern 2 there that you can see here and play it. There's my tom that I just played. So let's stop that, unrecord enable, and go back to our default kit. Up next we have the tempo, which is in beats per minute. You can click and slide to change it, and if you are playing a tempo or playing a kit, we can slow that way down or speed it way up by clicking and dragging, and that's in beats per minute. Default kit again. We have a metronome symbol. If you enable that and press play, you'll hear an audible click that'll tell you where those quarter notes are, and we can turn it off by clicking it and go to the next little 3 dots, which is our clocking menu. Some more tempo information. You can actually tap a tempo in that you want your kit to be in, and then adjust some parameters for the sequencer and some metronome parameters as well. The last button we have here is a view adjust button, which will make the pads go full screen, which is great for smaller devices, so you have better access on the pads. Or you go back here and you can see the menu panel. So let's go ahead and go full screen and go back to the unlock icon, which will get us into those pad edit menus. So any of those wrenches you click on will jump directly into that pad, and those names are listed here at the top. You can edit it with the pencil or change the color here with the paintbrush, and let's go with red for noise. You can cycle through all of the pads here with the arrows, or like I said, just click the wrench of whatever pad you want to edit. Each of those pads can have 2 separate samples, and you can adjust a few parameters of each sample. If you want to select a different sample, you can tap on the name and then go through all of your sounds here and audition them with the speaker. That crash is pretty cool. So we'll double click that and it'll populate right there. You can also audition sounds with the speaker up top here. So we put that sound in there, and that's how it sounds and plays. If you scroll down, there's some more parameters here, and we'll get more in depth on these in a later video, but basically it's how the sounds are triggered when you play the pad and kind of how the samples interact with each other. And then at the very bottom, we have some MIDI information, so you can change some values there if you're sequencing or triggering the app from another device, or you're using SDS-x to trigger another instrument. Let's go ahead and close out of there, and then be sure to lock up your pads beforehand so you don't accidentally jump into the menu. I'm going to recall the default kit and then open up here so we can see the menu panel, and we'll start diving into that. But first, I want to let you know on this update, we actually added 2 menu panels for the iPad, just so you have more information and you can choose which one you want to have on the top or bottom. But because there's 2, it's a little bit confusing, so I'm going to jump in to the iPhone here so we can focus on one module at a time. So here on our menu panel, we have 5 different modules. We have our sequencer module, mixer, effects, samples, and settings. A sequencer is something that tells an instrument what to play and when to play it. In this case, we have these 9 pads are what to play and these 16 steps of when to play it. You can input information into the sequencer a couple different ways. The first way is just by arming record, pressing play, and tapping on the pads, which is one way to do it. Let's go ahead and press stop. Another way to do it is to tap to program and then input information in program mode. You can do that by tapping on a node and then choosing which pads you want to play, or tap on a pad and tell it when to play on which node. So we built this little sequence here, and we'll go ahead and press stop. You can keep recording into if you want to, if you're out of program mode. And we've created a beat. So let's go ahead and press stop on that, unrecord enable, and then go over these different functions. So on the right here, the first one is a pattern button. You can select up to 16 different patterns, and then as well as chain them, so you can have pattern 1 play and then pattern 2 if you tap them in order like that. So let's go back to pattern 1. You can copy patterns with the next button or delete patterns with the X by tapping the number of the pattern that you want to delete. And now we just deleted what we recorded. This last button changes the length of the sequencer. So right now we have 16 steps, but you can select anywhere from 1 step all the way up to 16 with that function. Now the sequencer has a lot more functions, so we're going to put those in another video if you want to check those out. Let's jump on over to the mixer, and a mixer adjusts volumes of each pad as well as some effects sends with your delay and reverb, and then a pan pot right there, so it puts it on the left side or the right side. And then you have mute and solo buttons for each of the pads. If you scroll all the way over to the right, there's a master fader, so if we have a sequence playing here, you can adjust the overall volume of the kit by just dragging that up and down. Stop that sequence, jump into effects here, and the effects, we have 5 different choices here on an XY pad, and you can tap these nodes to change parameters, and we have delay, reverb, high pass, low pass, and master. Just one quick example here for you. If I press play on the sequence, you can drag this around to kind of hear what that effect is changing and doing. Next up, we have our sample menu. If you can scroll down here and see all of the stock sounds, so there's 180 sounds in here to choose from. If you press the symbol, you can hear what it is, and if you like that sound, just drag and drop it onto a pad. You quickly search here for sounds, or import your own sounds if you have them. Last, but maybe not least, is the settings menu. Here there's some global settings to go through, where you can change velocity modes. For iPhone users, there are some haptics that we've added for some tactile feedback of the app. Okay, as well as some clocking, syncing, and MIDI options. And then if you want to dive into the manual, you can click here, and then we have some credits for our friends that have helped us out with this app. Well, there you have it, a very thorough run through of SDSX. We have other detailed tutorials linked below if you want to dive deeper into the app, so be sure to check those out. Thank you for watching, and we hope you have fun with SDSX.